Hi, this is Jody Colegrove with Quantum Techniques. We have developed a proven technique to quickly determine the root cause of your health issue using a form of energy medicine. Most likely, if you're watching this video, it's because we have had a chance to work together. And so we may have done our first complimentary session that we give a gift for of doing 60 minutes. And that way it really helps us kind of dial in after you've turned in your client information on what's going on in your body. You know, what tissues are involved, what organs are involved, you know, what pathogens are involved, what toxins you may need to get out of your life, and also what emotional issues you've been dealing with, and what things, what maybe beliefs you had to let go and maybe change and think about changing those intentions that you have on your life, and also some emotions that may have been blocking your healing. So all that is part of the healing treatment that we did. So I just wanted to kind of say, okay, what's next? Where do we go from here? All right, so one is, at the end of that treatment, I gave you a personal code that you would read for you. And so I will usually tell you, okay, read this code 3 times a day, okay? And so I always like to attach that to a specific time of day. So it could be breakfast, lunch, and dinner. If I've told you to read it 5 times a day, then I usually do when I wake up, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and when I go to bed. It's just an easy way to remember it. So then I tell you each one of those times to read it for a specific certain amount of time. So I may have said, okay, we'll read it for 3 times a day. So you'd read it breakfast, lunch, and dinner 3 times each one of those. Okay, so that's your personal code. Okay, I may send you some other codes, and I will address that in another video if that was the case. So how do you read the code? Okay, so if you're kind of new to this, we have, you know, the tapping points that we had you enter originally, so you know what those tapping points are. Then what you can do is, when I give you that code, you can either tap those points, you can just read it out loud, you can read it silently, you can read it out loud and touch at the same point at the same time, but your body knows that code because you've already entered it with those original videos that we had you enter. Okay, so you just need to read the code. I think that's the easiest. Now, after you have read that code, I would say 3-5 days, the way I told you to, then you can just look at your code and you can say, oh, that's my code. I'm going to release that code once, twice, 3 times. Okay, your body remembers it, you remember it, your intention that you have for what that's going to is in your system. So that will kind of, you know, help you. Now, some people really do like that as kind of a meditation, so they like to read their code, but I want to give that as an offer of what you can do. So then the next part is, so when do we work again? So typically people will find that once they get the code, they kind of feel this lightness after a treatment because we've shifted your energy. And that sometimes can last, 4 days, 2 weeks. It can last, maybe just 24 hours. So you need to kind of be aware of how it's making your body feel. There are times when we have really tapped into a lot of toxins and pathogens that your body needs to clear and needs to do detox. And your body may not have been used to detoxing very well. So we put that as part of the code, but you may need to have a reminder to help your body detox. So a lot of times people will email me and say, okay, I'm having some, just kind of feeling off, or my head's a little funny, or my stomach hurts, or whatever that symptom is. So what do I do? So you'd send me an email or a text, or you can call, and we would clear what they call sludge. And so that's your body just not being able to really remember that pathway to get it out, or it's being overloaded by so much that it needs to get it out. So that treatment really only lasts about 5, 10, maybe 12 minutes to just identify what needs to clear, what sludge is in that. It could be, it could be man-made, or it could be also biological, that we just need to clear out of your body. So we identify it, identify where it needs to go, and let it go. So that's why it doesn't take very much time. Then after that, sometimes people, maybe a couple days that they have sludge, it may just be that one day. So again, you're just kind of checking in with your body and saying, okay, how am I doing? Sometimes at the end of a treatment, I'll say, okay, this particular treatment, it looks like it will be completed in maybe 4 days. And a lot of times what I do is I ask our clients to check in with me about a week later with an email. Just let me know how it's gone. It could be the day after if you do have some sludge die off and need to, clear something. But you're just letting me know kind of how it's gone. So it could be between, the day after, or it could be 4 days. But I really like to receive an email in there to kind of know how you're doing. It's really important. So from there, a lot of times what I've found is if we test somebody, let's say 4 days, okay, didn't have much sludge die off, so they say, okay, doing okay, feeling not as good as I did after the call, what do we need to do? So we would get on the phone and find out. Now, I had a case once where the lady said, okay, so you told me not to eat wheat, so I went to the store and I got, some oat crackers. Well, we didn't test oat crackers because she had never eaten those before. And sure enough, oat crackers were not good for her. So we had to say, okay, no, those don't test good either. We need to maybe say go to a rice product. And so be aware that sometimes you leave off certain things, but then you add things that we haven't checked before, and they can make your code, like we say, toxins, lower or stop your treatment from working. So that's why we've identified what those toxins are for you. All right, so when you check in with me after about 4 days, we find out, okay, how are you doing with your treatment? Are you keeping them? Is everything online? Are they just as strong as when we had them originally? And sometimes we'll find that either you've eaten something that's been a toxin that's knocked it off, or that it's not as strong as it used to be because the toxins that you have in your life, you had to do the laundry, maybe clean up, you had to change laundry detergents, and that may still be in your environment. And so each day it's kind of impacting your body a little bit more. So we would find out what that is and then clear it again. And that way, you've already done all the cleanup, let's say with washing, clothes or sheets and towels. And then we're just say, okay, yeah, you still got some of that toxin, but now your body's better. So we're just clearing it up again so it's out of your system completely. So that's what we would do is at that second time. So that would be kind of the sludge die-off clearing. But it's also, there may be another layer that's come up, okay? So if you've had an issue for a while, we may need to find out, okay, what's a deeper layer underneath this? Maybe it includes the cardiovascular system or the adrenals or the kidneys we need to clear. It could be a generational issue that why it's so hard to, let's say, give up wheat. And so that issue we may need to clear through a generational issue. So that would be another layer to clearing that we would need to do. And usually that would take somewhere between 20, 30, 40 minutes. If it's a big emotional field that comes with it, especially like generational things, sometimes it will take 60 minutes. So it just depends on kind of where you're at and what we're working on. There's also sometimes where everything is clear and you feel good and you're like, wow, that really worked. Hey, I'm not sleeping very good. Does that have anything to do with this too? And sure enough, you're like, okay, yeah, let's shift our focus from, let's say, digestion, and we're gonna switch it to your sleep patterns, okay? And then, you might get done with, let's say, clearing that, and we say, oh, I've had this thing on the back of my arm, and it's really bothering me. Let's see what that is about. Sometimes those secondary symptoms are all connected, but sometimes they're individual. And they usually do not take another 60 minutes worth of treatment. It's just a matter of identifying what are the toxins, what are the pathogens, what's not allowing the body to see what it needs to heal. So that really doesn't take very much time. So again, it's kind of like your 20, 30, 40 minutes depending on the issue. So that's how you would check in with yourself and find out, okay, what's the next issue I want to work on and where do I want to go from here? So any one of those times where you want to clear sludge, work on another layer, or there's another layer coming up for healing, you can either email me, you can, if I've given you the phone number, you can text me, especially if we're doing sludge, that really helps. People just text and say, okay, I need to clear some sludge today, or you can call. I do ask that if you do email, sometimes it's helpful to text ahead of time and let me know, hey, I would like a treatment today, and then you can email me what you want to work on. And that's really helpful for me because then I kind of have an idea of what we want to work on before we get on the call, and I can really go at knowing what the issue is. So those are all ways to check in to kind of see how to do another treatment. So the important is that you're in charge of your body, and you're in this new healing process. And so we are trying to get you to be centered and to understand what the body's communicating with you, because it is a dance. We're finding out what it's trying to tell you by its symptoms, and it's maybe been screaming at you for a long time, and we're here to kind of interpret that. But pretty soon you'll start interpreting it for yourself, and I think that's the most exciting point. So I look forward to our journey together and helping you get your health and happiness back. So thanks for working. I look forward to talking to you soon.